The other day, imagine this for a second. You're standing in the middle of a quiet farm field just before sunrise. The air is cool, the soil smells fresh, and the ground under your feet feels soft and alive. Farmers are walking through the field, checking their crops, and everything seems to be growing perfectly. No heavy chemical smell in the air, no giant machines spreading tons of fertilizer everywhere. Yet the soil is incredibly rich. Now here's the strange part. Decades ago, many farms in America actually had soil like this naturally. Not because of expensive technology, not because of complicated scientific equipment, but because of a simple plant quietly doing its job under the soil. A plant that could naturally create fertilizer, improve soil health, protect farmland, and prepare the ground for future harvests. But here's the shocking part of the story. Most people today have never even heard about this plant. It slowly disappeared from the spotlight of modern agriculture. Not because it stopped working, not because farmers proved it useless, but because farming itself changed. And today, scientists and farmers are starting to rediscover this forgotten plant again. The plant is called Hairy Vetch. Now, if you heard that name and smiled a little, don't worry, you're not alone. The name sounds a bit unusual. Some people even laugh the first time they hear it. Hairy Vetch almost sounds like the name of a funny cartoon character instead of a powerful agricultural plant. But behind that funny name hides one of the most fascinating natural tools in farming. At first glance, Hairy Vetch doesn't look impressive at all. It's a thin, climbing vine with soft stems and small purple flowers. The plant spreads across the ground or climbs gently over nearby plants. If you walk past it on the side of a field, you might not notice it at all. But the real magic of this plant happens underground, below the surface. The roots of Hairy Vetch form a partnership with tiny bacteria living in the soil. These bacteria live in small nodules on the roots of the plant, and together they perform an incredible natural process. They pull nitrogen directly from the air. Now, that might not sound dramatic at first, but nitrogen is one of the most important nutrients plants need in order to grow. Without enough nitrogen, crops struggle. Leaves turn pale. Growth slows down. Harvests become smaller and weaker. That's why modern agriculture uses massive amounts of nitrogen fertilizer. But Hairy Vetch does something amazing. It creates nitrogen naturally. Think about that for a second. This plant is literally pulling nutrients out of the air and storing them in the soil. When the plant eventually dies and decomposes, all that nitrogen becomes available to future crops. Corn, wheat, vegetables, and many other plants benefit from the nutrients Hairy Vetch leaves behind. In simple terms, the plant is quietly producing natural fertilizer. And the best part is that it does this completely free. Now imagine you're a farmer in the early 1900s. Fertilizers are expensive. Agricultural technology is still developing. Soil fertility is something farmers constantly worry about. Then someone introduces you to a plant that improves your soil naturally. Of course you're going to use it. That's exactly what happened. During the early 20th century, Hairy Vetch became one of the most popular cover crops across many farms in the United States. A cover crop is a plant grown not to harvest or sell, but to protect and improve the soil. Farmers would plant Hairy Vetch after harvesting their main crop. Instead of leaving fields empty during winter, the plant would grow and cover the soil like a protective blanket. And this is where the benefits really started to appear. The first major benefit was soil protection. When farmland sits empty, wind and rain slowly wash away the top layer of soil. This layer, called topsoil, is extremely important because it contains nutrients and organic matter that crops need. But when Hairy Vetch grows across the ground, its roots hold the soil together. Wind can't easily blow it away. Rain can't wash it away. The plant protects the land like a natural shield. The second benefit is soil structure. The roots of Hairy Vetch grow deep into the ground. As they spread, they create tiny channels in the soil. These channels allow water and air to move through the soil more easily. This makes the ground softer and healthier for future crops. The third benefit is organic matter. When Hairy Vetch eventually decomposes, it becomes part of the soil itself. Organic matter is extremely important for soil health. It feeds beneficial microorganisms living in the soil. And healthy soil is actually full of life. In just one handful of rich soil, There can be billions of microorganisms working together. These organisms help break down nutrients and make them available to plants. Hairy Vetch feeds this underground ecosystem. And there was another surprising benefit farmers noticed. Weeds began appearing less often. Hairy Vetch grows thick and spreads across the ground. Because of this dense growth, it blocks sunlight from reaching many weed seeds. Without sunlight, those seeds struggle to grow. So farmers found themselves dealing with fewer weeds. Now imagine being a farmer and having a plant that improves soil fertility, protects land from erosion, reduces weeds, supports beneficial insects, and prepares the ground for future crops. It almost sounds too good to be true. But then agriculture began changing. Around the middle of the 20th century, farming started transforming rapidly. New technologies appeared. Tractors replaced horses. Farms became larger, and chemical fertilizers became widely available. For many farmers, synthetic fertilizer looked like a miracle solution. Instead of planting cover crops and waiting for natural processes to improve soil fertility, farmers could simply apply fertilizer and plant the next crop immediately. It was faster, it required less planting, and it produced large harvests quickly. As this system spread across agriculture, the use of cover crops slowly declined. Plants like hairy vetch began disappearing from many farms. Farmers focused more on high-yield crops, supported by chemical inputs. Within a few decades, many people simply forgot about this small but powerful plant. But the story doesn't end there. In recent years, scientists and farmers have started paying closer attention to soil health again, and they noticed something concerning. After decades of heavy chemical use, many agricultural soils were becoming less fertile. Organic matter levels dropped. Soil became harder and more compact, and crops became more dependent on continuous fertilizer inputs. This led researchers to ask an important question. What if the key to healthier soil isn't adding more chemicals, but rebuilding natural soil systems? That's when scientists started re-examining cover crops again. And once again, hairy vetch appeared as one of the most promising plants. Modern research confirmed what farmers observed many years ago. Hairy vetch can produce large amounts of natural nitrogen. In some cases, a single acre of this plant can add over 100 pounds of nitrogen to the soil. That's a huge amount, enough to support the growth of many crops without relying entirely on synthetic fertilizers. And that's not the only benefit. Hairy vetch also helps support pollinators. Its purple flowers attract bees and beneficial insects. These insects are extremely important because they pollinate crops and help control pests naturally. Fields with flowering cover crops often support healthier ecosystems. Today, many farmers practicing regenerative agriculture include hairy vetch in their crop rotations. They might plant it in the fall after harvesting corn or vegetables. The plant grows slowly during winter, protecting the soil from erosion and harsh weather. Then in spring, the farmer cuts the cover crop and plants the next crop directly into the soil. As the hairy vetch breaks down, it releases nutrients that feed the new plants. It's almost like the soil is recycling its own resources. And while this method might sound modern, it's actually based on farming practices that are more than 100 years old. Sometimes progress doesn't mean inventing something completely new. Sometimes it means rediscovering knowledge that people once used successfully. Now, of course, hairy vetch is not a magical solution to every agricultural problem. Farmers must manage it carefully. If it grows too long, it can become tangled and difficult to control. Timing is important when farmers decide to cut or terminate the crop before planting the next one. But when used correctly, it can become a powerful tool for improving soil health. Many agricultural experts today believe cover crops will play a major role in the future of sustainable farming. As fertilizer prices rise and environmental concerns grow, farmers are searching for ways to reduce chemical dependence. Plants like hairy vetch offer a natural solution. They remind us that agriculture is not just about machines and chemicals. It's about working with living systems. Plants, soil microbes, insects, and natural cycles can work together to create healthy farmland. So the next time you see a field covered with small purple flowers, take a closer look. That simple plant might be quietly feeding the soil, supporting insects, protecting farmland, and preparing the ground for future crops. A tiny worker performing a massive job beneath the surface. And maybe, just maybe, the future of healthier farming will come from plants like this. Plants that have been helping the earth long before modern agriculture even existed. If you enjoy discovering hidden stories about nature, science, and the planet we live on, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. And this is Origins of Earth Vault. Here we explore the forgotten secrets of nature, the hidden systems of our planet, and the incredible ways the Earth quietly supports life. And trust me, the Earth still holds many secrets waiting to be discovered.